Hello and welcome to coverage of Grin's Gore for the custom standard format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the Swiss round 2 match between Zarepath, who is on Jeskai Dune control, and Reuben, otherwise known as Doombringer, who's playing blue-black colorless hard control. So, despite this being a control mirror, I think that it's going to be I think people traditionally typecast control mirrors as being kind of boring, just stallsy kind of gameplay. But I think there's lots of little interesting decisions despite how little seems to be happening. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, I have Caliber here commentating with me, so thank you to them. So I find it interesting that Zarepath kept this double Wrath of Mod hand, given, Reuben's deck is not exactly creature light, but I definitely think that he's not running enough creatures to warrant these Wrath of Mods being valuable. And on the other end, Reuben similarly doesn't quite have interaction for Zarepath stuff. He's got an Essence Scatter and two Essence Scatters and a Mirage Oddity. So I think that Reuben's game plan here is just run out the Mirage Oddity, and then if it resolves, then there's not much Zarepath can do. Which we're about to see Zarepath tap out for a Writing. This is Enchantment, which is also a Discovery, which you can think of as a Saga, whose last mode stays as a powerful static effect rather than a one-time powerful single-use triggered ability. So I think if you're Reuben, you probably just play the Swamp, run out the Mirage Oddity, Zarepath's tapped out, yup, and now you have a clock that is also very difficult to disrupt. So it turns the clock that Reuben, I don't think it significantly speeds up the clock though, because Reuben has a 5-turn clock. If he plays Fall of Atanus next turn, I don't think he'll speed it up. Let's speed it by maybe a turn. I don't believe Zarepath has ways of getting his life total back up, right? Oh, and on end, Zarepath has to discard a card, so he's going to be discarding that Wrath of Mod. It's also an interesting thing because it kind of signals hey, I don't have any interaction. At least in terms of it could, I guess maybe could bait Reuben into extending his board more. Nah, Reuben's perfectly content, and he's keeping up all this mana because A, he doesn't have much else to do with it, and B, it also just kind of signals a counterspell. And yeah, now Zarepath's going to crack these fetches, because otherwise he cannot cast the Sandwarp except for its alternate cost. Also, lands in grave contribute to the Zarepath's win con and deck namer, Choking Dunes, which relies on having land cards in graveyard. And Zarepath drawing a second copy there. And actually, Reuben doesn't have a way to stop Zarepath from running out of Choking Dunes next turn. Actually, this turn, because Writing's on 3, never mind. Because Writing's final mode makes non-creature spells cost 1 less. So Zarepath can resolve the Choking Dunes. Can't shoot Mirage Oddity yet, but next turn can untap, crack the Sprawling Coils, and then can start threatening to shoot Mirage Oddity, which makes Reuben have to keep wasting his lands. Okay, on end, Reuben is going to be creating a Lotus token. It essentially functions like a treasure token, but it's just flavored differently. And he does that using the third ability of Royal Domain. Yeah, but interestingly, Reuben has 3 lands he probably doesn't very much want to waste. Luminescent Lagoon, because it's a win con. Atanus, because it's also another win con. Both of them being land-based makes them really good in a control matchup. And Royal Domain for the reason that you stated earlier. Okay, so you're going to be swinging in with the Mirage Oddity again, putting Zarepath down to 12. Still doesn't have any counter magic for the second Choking Dunes, though. And that's where things can start getting nasty. So Zarepath's going to use the first mode of Choking Dunes, discard a Sprawling Coils to draw another card. Hits another land. The Field of Ruin is actually not bad here, because it means that and it's not like Zarepath's going to be doing much more with his mana. This turn he wants to probably run out Choking Dunes number 2. Yep, and it also has Sandwarp backup in case Reuben has counter magic. Of course, Reuben doesn't, so this is going to resolve. And now Zarepath can point 1 Sprawling Coils at Mirage Oddity, and another at Reuben's face. Also, since Choking Dunes activates at the beginning of the end step, does that mean that Mirage Oddity only comes back at the end of Reuben's turn? That could be a really good way of, oh no, it's just going to double shoot Reuben's face, but is going to go deep here. Shooting Reuben for 8, so I guess is hoping to just faster clock Reuben here. One thing that Reuben might be able to do is, okay, so Zarepath has Reuben on a 2-turn clock, and Zarepath's thinking Reuben has a 3-turn clock. But Reuben can attack with the Mirage Oddity, flicker it, and then play Fall of Atanas. And then I think that lets him kill Zarepath next turn. Or no, does that? No, actually it puts him 2 life off. And ooh. Yeah, even if he managed to play Fall of Atanas and somehow activate Atanas, oh, is he going to do that? I think he's still going to go for that line, just because that's his only hope at having a faster clock. So he's going to flicker the Mirage Oddity till end. And no, I guess is just going to use Atanas, the Fallen Capital's effect. Going to ping Zarepath for 1. The thing is, Zarepath still survives because this does 2 damage next turn, plus the 4 from Mirage Oddity. Zarepath survives at 1 life and survives to kill Reuben. In fact, actually, I think he kills Reuben this turn because he plays Field of Ruin, cracks it, and then at that point it's 5 lands in grave. Or, yeah, also can just discard to the Choking Dunes trigger. And yeah, Reuben's just going to be conceding there. Yikes, yeah, that was definitely a harsh game 1 with Reuben having all the wrong kind of interaction. It ended up looking like, for a control matchup, that was incredibly fast. It was just both of them running out their win cons and smashing face. No interaction allowed. Mom says it's my turn on the win con. Okay, so let's look at sideboards getting into game 2 here. Zarepath has Imperial Claim, which I don't think will be very good. Essence Scatter, which, again, I'm sus of. Incandescent Drain, sus of. Sink into Doubt could be good, especially versus it forces Reuben to think about big Epic of Ekbrahms. Yeah, I mean, like, it's probably worth it over some of the other interaction that Zarepath has, like Blazing Offerings, I think, is probably not what you want in this matchup. It does hit face, I think, so let me check. No, never mind. Blazing Offerings is only creature planeswalker, so for sure Blazing Offerings is coming out. And might bring in a clean slate just as like a fast answer this or you lose button. But yeah, I think most likely Zarepath's just going to bring in the 2 Synced Out for the 2 Blazing Offerings, and maybe a clean slate for a Wrath of Mod and a higher hit also because it hits face could come in, but I doubt it because of the relative card disadvantage. Over to Reuben's sideboard, has Liminal Observer. Oh, actually, all of these cards are looking pretty good for this matchup. Like, Liminal Observer is card advantage plus a clock. It's another must-answer threat. Into the Lion's Den is really good for grabbing Choking Dunes early, or like putting, or if like Reuben has a win con, putting Zarepath off of specific types of interaction. Lazaire's Altar is, I've said this once and I've said it before, if you're a deck with lots of answers, if you can run out of Lazaire's Altar on turn 2, you pretty much just win the game. Also, Negate is just good interaction, probably take that out for the Essence Scatters. And then Writing is another good source of card advantage. So Reuben's sideboard is just over-teched out for this matchup. You just take out the Vibrant Raptures, maybe like the Essence Scatters, a few of the Oppress the Weaks, and then just go ham on the sideboard. Despite losing game 1, Reuben has a very solid chance on the sideboard, especially since he's going to be on the play this time. The 2-mana interaction here, having your interaction live before your opponent does, or being able to play cards like Into the Lion's Den before your opponent can have a play is super impactful and can swing the entire game. Okay, going into game 2, both players keeping at 7. Zarepath, it looks like, did bring in the Imperial Claims, probably for some of the colorless win cons that Reuben has. It functions as a 1-mana kill your dude. Meanwhile, it looks like Reuben brought in Foog from the sideboard. Also, some of these writings. So you're just going to run out a Wall of Mysteries. It's a color-shifted Wall of Omens, basically, but is a good way to uh, just essentially cycle for 2 in this matchup. You're not going to be blocking much of Zarepath's, but you're perfectly content just using it as a cycler. Also, we do see Reuben did bring in the Lazer's Altar, and Zarepath only being on 2 mana actually cannot counter this, because I don't know why Zarepath kept. I guess Zarepath kept the Essence Scatter in on the assumption that Reuben would try to side into more creatures, as well as the idea that Mirage Oddity, once resolved, is just a pain in the butt to actually deal with. But yeah, Reuben's hand is just kind of stacked, especially if he hits a 3rd land, which is why, okay, so he's going to run out the Writing instead of the Lazer's Altar. I think being on the play, I can see why this makes sense. Writing essentially functions like a Lazer's Altar here in terms of the card advantage it generates, without like evening the tempo between Reuben and Zarepath, because like we mentioned earlier, Reuben being on the play, having access to mana earlier is super huge. And yep, Zarepath did bring in the Sink into Doubt. Also the can't be countered clause is super relevant for control magic or counterspell wars. Okay, so Reuben has gone into 4 lands here. The question is, what is he going to do this turn? Because he has a few options. He can just keep holding up Epic of Ekbrom and try to interact. He can play one of his 3 4-mana win cons. It looks like he's going to be running out the Foog, Indulgent Broker. Zarepath can Sink into Doubt for X equals 1 to stop this, though. Oh, it looks like... Oh, okay, he's going to Sink into Doubt X equals 2. No reason not to, I guess. Foog is just a must-answer threat, because you just keep +1ing and hand attacking them, and then as soon as you get the emblem, it's over. So Zarepath just drawing and passing, has Sandwarp, Epic of Ekbrom, Coordinated Commotion, Essence Scatter, all the counter magic, and I guess is just trying to hope to stall out until he can draw into whatever the name of his win con is that has Dunes in the name. Anyways, Writing is now in 3, meaning that Reuben has a lot more options, such as casting this into the Lion's Den for 1 mana. So I think if you're Zarepath, you just... Ooh, I was going to say he should counter this, because that way you're going to lose a card anyways, and you don't give your opponent hand information. I guess the thought is that Reuben still has 4 mana up, and you have 4 pieces of counter magic. So if you're Reuben, I think you take the Epic of Ekbrom, because that card is just insane. Yeah, like none of the cards do it as much. So actually, yeah, might grab the Imperial Claim instead, because that's actually a good point, because I think grabbing Epic of Ekbrom makes a lot of sense, specifically because forcing Zarepath to use the Imperial Claim on the Into the Lion's Den, you're kind of fine with that, assuming, because then that means Zarepath, because then you play Mirage Oddity, and then you play Mirage Oddity or Eradicator engine, and then like run it into. I guess he was worried about free interaction. Okay. That's gonna be a head scratcher for me. So is Reuben. Yeah, Reuben's gonna run out Lazer's Altar. Notably after this, I'm actually I'm not surprised. Never mind. But yeah, notably after this can also run out Wall of Mysteries, and then just be drowning in card advantage. And yeah, I guess this also puts... Well, actually, I feel like if Reuben had taken something more impactful than Sandwarp with this Into the Lion's Den, it would have put Zarepath in this real bind of like, okay, I can Imperial Claim Lazer's Altar, which basically generates so much CA it wins the game, into the Lion's Den, because I want my Sandwarp, or Writing, because it makes all of his stuff super cheap. But it looks like Zarepath decided to Imperial Claim the Into the Lion's Den, grabbing back the Sandwarp. Still has not drawn into Choking Dunes yet, though. Meanwhile, Reuben over here has, 3 win cons in hand? 4 if you count Epic of Ekbrom as a win con, which honestly, resolving one is a win con in this matchup. Oh, and a Tannis? A Tannis can't... Zarepath can't even do anything about a Tannis, is the worst part. The interesting thing about a Tannis, though, is that Zarepath can exile the Petal tokens to a Tannis, and then doesn't lose any life because a Tannis only counts cards, and the petals are only tokens. A Tannis kind of has a non-bow interaction with. Oh, patch to what? Patch to like how does it interact? Oh, okay. But for now, yeah, it's definitely a non-bow. Is gonna pay for Mirage Oddity or Eradicator Engine? Which one? I think knowing that he has counter magic, running the Eradicator engines out might be the right play. Yep, is gonna run out the Eradicator engine first. Because Eradicator engine, you're fine with Zarepath wasting interaction on because it's a lot more interactable once it hits the board anyways. While Mirage Oddity, if you can sneak past the counter magic, you win. Which might also be why Reuben took the Sand Warp, because he was trying to force a shield down moment from Zarepath if Zarepath ever decided to tap out. I do think that playing to that isn't as optimal because Zarepath didn't have anything to tap out for in his hand at the time. And wow, Zarepath's letting the Eradicator engine resolve. It's going to shoot the petal. But I mean, like, Reuben is going to give him another petal, remember, with Alter. Unless Reuben wants to activate a Tannis, which I don't think giving your opponent a card is worth activating a Tannis. That's like reverse synergy. But yeah, I'm surprised that Zarepath didn't Epic of Ekbrom on Reuben's end there, especially since he generated the mana with the petal before Eradicator Engine destroyed it. I'm also surprised that he let Reuben resolve this Eradicator Engine at all. But also letting your opponent untap while you have removal when you know they might have counter magic, that seems like a bad play. Okay, so Reuben did side in the Liminal Observers. So right now, this deck is playing out like very similar to, I guess, the Game Boy Advance decks in terms of just generate card advantage, play big colorless threats, go to town. And the scary part is this turn has enough mana to cast 2 threats if he wants to. He knows, however, that Zarepath has both the Sand Warp and the Epic of Ekbrom. The question is, do you force him to run and has all the counter magic. So the question is, do you force Zarepath to run that out? So he's going to attack with the Eradicator engine, forcing Zarepath to tap some mana for a Wander the Unknown. This means that Zarepath can use Epic of Ekbrom, but it's most likely that Zarepath's going to try and Coordinated Commotion or Essence Scatter this. Okay, so he's going to try and run out the Liminal Observer. Gets Essence Scattered. He tapped 4, because I think he... No, you're right, actually. Why did he tap 5? Okay, and now is probably going to... If you're Reuben, I think you still play the Eradicator engine here. Oh yeah, he can't. Yeah, because he doesn't have he can't generate 2 colorless mana, because treasures can't generate colorless mana. Yeah, so in that case, he's forced to either let the turn go or try to cast Mirage Oddity. Okay, it's just going to let the turn go. I guess keeps up Epic Ekbrom for... I was literally just about to say Choking Dunes. There it is. There's the win con. Zarepath does have the Sand Warp backup, though. The problem is if Zarepath Sand Warps, he won't be able to stop Reuben from going untap Eradicator Engine Mirage Oddity. So Choking Dunes. So if you're Reuben, I think, yeah, just going to run out Epic of Ekbrom X equals 1. Reuben, I know Epic is like a super important card. He does, because Epic of Ekbrom is, it's 3 blue. So he needs to, yeah, Royal Domain doesn't ramp. Yeah, but for some reason he tapped 5 last turn, so he thinks he only has 4 mana. Oh no, never mind. He has Writing, so I guess he's going to do X equals 2. Yeah, I forgot about Writing, right. Is the pointing to the Writing saying that he's bouncing the Writing with Epic of Ekbrom? Or is he... So yeah, Zarepath is going to Sand Warp. He's going to win the counter war, but now Reuben can play Mirage Oddity and Eradicator Engine without having to fear. And Choking Dunes, for now, only shoots for 2 the next turn, because 1 from the Fetchland Aldrine Zarepath's Grave, 1 from the Sprawling Coils that he's going to do next turn. Reuben is going to be pinging himself for a lot with this Lazaire's Altar, though. The clock thickens. Shut up. I'm saying both of them combined. So Reuben drawing into a negate, plus an Eli. So I think if you're Reuben, how much mana do you have? Okay, you don't have enough mana to cast 2 threats this turn. So being as you are Reuben, I think you cast Mirage Oddity, hold up negate. I think that's the optimal play. Yup, is running out the Mirage Oddity. I don't know why he's tapping only 3 mana for this. It's not a... I guess? Yeah. He realizes it costs 4. Oh wait, I forgot that Reuben could actually, like, play lands. So now he does have enough mana to play Eradicator Engine as well. Yeah, I think if you're Reuben, then... do you hold up the negate or do you play the Eradicator Engine? Because I think you want to just have that insanely fast clock as compared to the Choking Dunes. And even double Choking Dunes can't... though I guess a worry would be if you don't have the if you don't have the negate, what if Zarepath plays a big Epic of Ekbrom? Oh, he has the writing. Yeah, and that makes mana so much crazier. Having to keep writing in mind is definitely so taxing. I would absolutely forget writing's last mode and be like, aha, they're tapped out. So I was considering whether to discard something on upkeep. If I was Zarepath, I would definitely discard the Coordinated Commotion and try to draw into something else. Yeah, if you're Zarepath, yeah, I think you go hog wild with the Epic right now, don't you? Or not, and maybe he's just gonna go for a writing here, but I thought he would just go hog wild with the Epic and then bounce all of Reuben's permanents. Okay, it's just gonna go to end. And I guess a reason to keep the Coordinated Commotion is if you were planning to bounce the Mirage Oddity with Epic and then have counter magic for the Mirage Oddity. So yeah, Reuben just gonna extend that card advantage. Though I guess Zarepath can do that on Reuben's turn anyways. So I think if you're Reuben, this might sound dumb, but I think in the event that Zarepath has another piece of counter magic, you opt main phase and then try to draw into something else. Okay, so at start of combat, I think Zarepath's going to try an Epic of Ekbrom, but unfortunately, see, usually the petals are super good to use on X spells, which is a big downside of Lazer's Altar, but here, Reuben has the interaction, which again, I think it's why Lazer's Altar plays so well in answer-heavy decks, because you give them the extra mana, but it doesn't matter what they can do with it because you always have cheap answers for them. Reuben asking X equals as though it matters, as though he is not going to instantly negate this. Oh wow, he's going to draw 5 and not bounce anything. Yeah, I think the reason Zarepath was trying to draw 5 instead of return the permanents is because if Reuben had a way to destroy or bounce his own permanents in response, it counters the entire spell. Is that not that's how it works? So maybe he was worried about that, but also that still doesn't feel great. I think you should just play to your outs. And yeah, Reuben's content shooting his own Wall of Mysteries. It does nothing now and swings in for a massive 9. Second main plays Eli, creates a bullet. Oh no, it's actually just gonna Tannis Zarepath. Nope, it's just a permanent they control. So Reuben has several ways of finishing off Zarepath next turn if Zarepath doesn't have an answer to this Eradicator Engine. There's the main phase out. I was expecting him to do it before Zarepath, like before combat would happen. So, but oh, and draws into an Epic of Ekbrom. Yeah, I think this game is very over for Zarepath. He's gonna discard the writing. And right back where he started. He's forced to play out the writing. Yeah, I don't know what he can hit that'll fix this. Epic of Ekbrom X equals 0. No, it can't even cast it. I mean, assuming that Reuben gives him a petal next turn, Epic of Ekbrom X equals 1 actually could do it. If he bounces the Eradicator Engine, that buys him a turn. Unfortunately, Reuben is just going to Epic of Ekbrom Zarepath's Epic of Ekbrom if Zarepath tries to do that. It's not even a... I think that was an accident. I think he meant to draw it from the Choking Dunes. But yeah. And this is all assuming that... Yeah, okay. Like, one thing that Reuben could have just done there is drain Zarepath for 1, made a Lotus Petal token himself. Yeah, if you're Reuben, you just swing in. So yeah, at start of combat, it's going to Epic of Ekbrom X equals 1, bounce the Eradicator Engine. Reuben's going to just Epic of Ekbrom in response, and is leaving up just enough mana to still a Tannis. is the important part. And yeah, Zarepath just hitting that GG. So we're going to game 3. Yeah, and like I'm liking how these mirrors have been playing. It's like they're very aggressively running out threats and then protecting them to the best of their ability. Also, Zarepath is planning to be on the draw, which is I guess it's interesting because my thought was like again like Reuben last game by going first really just converted having a mana advantage into just using that tempo to just win. But I guess Zarepath is thinking in the control mirror you just want to have that card advantage. So Zarepath's current hand has a Field of Ruin, which is a good answer to some of Reuben's land-based ways of winning. But in terms of interaction, only has Essence Scatters and Wander the Unknowns, which could put Zarepath at a disadvantage. So yeah, Zarepath I think is going to mull for that reason. Keeping this one, it has a Choking Dunes Epic, Writing to generate card advantage. I think you probably bottom the Taken for questioning, even though it's your or the I think you think you would have yeah is going to bottom the Taken for questioning, even though it's his only mode of interaction other than Epic. I think you just kind of have to you got to play to Mimi Big Win Con. On Reuben's end, oh my god, he's got 6 lands and a Lazer's Altar, but he can run out the Lazer's Altar under Zarepath's counter magic, and then I think he's just planning on I will ride this to a victory. And that's another land. Also, to be fair, has the Atanis, which is a win con in and of itself, if Zarepath doesn't have the land destruction land. So yup, is just gonna run out this Lazer's Altar. On end, Zarepath's gonna crack the fetch, probably try to get a blue land. Yep, gonna get the Sea-Soaked Cliffs. Imperial Claim is interesting here. So do you play the Zephyr Peak and have the Imperial Claim ready? I think yeah, actually. You don't want to you don't care about signaling counter magic here. Yeah, just gonna play the Zephyr Peak, and then next turn has an Imperial Claim for this to stymie this Lazer's Altar. Or actually, never mind. Can actually just do can Imperial Claim on Reuben's end anyways, because Zarepath can just use the pedal. Unfortunately, Reuben is drawn into a second Lazer's Altar right here. If you're Reuben, do you just play this Lazer's Altar, or do you? I don't know, because that's a scary situation because you don't have any counter magic. So if Zarepath runs out Choking Dunes and you have 2 Lazer's Altars, it can get hairy real fast. But also, do you just like live fast, die hard, and play the Lazer's Altar? Nope, he's just gonna pass. And I'm surprised Zarepath didn't Imperial Claim on end. And Zarepath draws into the Field of Ruin. This is really good because it gives Zarepath an answer to Atanis. He's gonna run out the Writing. Also of note for Writing is that it also acts as a ramp spell because it gives Zarepath access to turn 5 Choking Dunes. Reuben can Eon Overwatch though to just bounce the Choking Dunes and put Zarepath off it for a turn. Also hits Mirage Oddity and Into the Lion's Den. This Lazer's Altar is putting in work. So I think probably just plays a land, runs out into the Lion's Den. Yup, I guess, but Zarepath only has 1 claim, and again, forcing him to waste it on the Into the Lion's Den is completely fine. So I think you actually take I think you take the Epic because Choking Dunes you can quote-unquote answer with Eon Overwatch. And Eon Overwatch plus Mirage Oddity can technically be a faster clock. And Zarepath doesn't have any other interaction. And Reuben takes Dunes. I'm once again surprised. And is going to run out the second Lazer's Altar, I guess. But also, like, you want to play to forcing them to claim it, and I think I still like, and I think like you much prefer like because Zarepath having these Epic of Ekbroms when you have an Epic of Ekbrom when you have 2 Lazer's Altars is terrifying. Choking Dunes, not so much because you can Eon Overwatch it and then draw into like removal for it, especially when Zarepath only has 1 land in grave. Now Zarepath has a Sandwarp plus a Wander the Unknown. Scary. But Reuben draws into a Fangmark Cave and an Eon Overwatch. Both of these players' hands are stacked right now. That's fair. I forgot it's no longer half your life and is now a fixed 8 life. Before, it used to be that you were completely fine with putting yourself to the brink with Lazer's altars and then paying half your life, which is like 3 life at some points, and then just having win con. Of course, I guess Zarepath has burn, so you'd be worried about that. But so Reuben has put himself in like this weird position where like his Atanis can't really do anything because of all the petals he's giving Zarepath. If he tries to play anything, Zarepath just Epic of Ekbrahms it to the next stratosphere. And he knows this. I'm actually very surprised he ran out the second Lazer's altar, like knowing the contents of Zarepath's hand. So if you're Reuben, do you just try to like run out the Mirage Oddity and force him to use the Epic of Ekbrahm right then and there? No, okay, he's just going to play the Eradicator engine instead. But we've seen that Zarepath's completely fine with letting this resolve. Maybe this is a Imperial Claim bait? I don't know. But Zarepath... So yeah, Zarepath's just going to let it resolve, and then can just wander the unknown. And like, you don't even care. Yeah, it's probably just cracking it in response. That's a white mana. Oh, he's going to Imperial Claim the Into the Lion's Den. Okay. And then can use the Choking Dunes to potentially shoot the Eradicator engine. Deactivate the Field of Ruin, shoot... that actually makes a lot of sense, because it puts Reuben off of blue mana. I mean, obviously, like, Reuben has the treasure and can Lazer's altar. And, like, with the Lazer's altars creating you petals, you don't care about Atanis. Fangmar Cave, you know Reuben's not going to activate because of Atanis. Sorry, not because of the Lazer's altar. So yeah, now, if Zarepath's going to go with Fortune Favors the Bold, could, yeah, Ascending Spires, play Choking Dunes for 5, crack the Ascending Spires to have 3 lands in grave, and then shoot Eradicator engine. And then after that, just keep shooting Reuben. And has a second Ascending Spires in hand, can turn that into a 3-turn clock very quick. So yeah, on end is going to shoot the Eradicator engine. Now this is definitely a bind. Though if you're Reuben, you don't know that Zarepath has Sandwarp, so I think... Oh, he's going to make Zarepath draw 2 and create 2 treasures. So I think what Reuben's planning here is put Zarepath off of Epic of Ekbrahm, then I'll play Eon Overwatch, bounce the Choking Dunes, and I'll be fine. What he doesn't know is that Zarepath has a Sandwarp, and therefore can counter the Eon Overwatch. And then next turn still have and then can just like keep Epic of Ekbrahm up with the petal tokens plus 1 island. So he's thinking, I'm so safe, I've got 3 mana to pay for this Epic of Ekbrahm, even if he somehow casts it. So yeah, on the stack, he is going to Sandwarp the living hell out of this. If he doesn't, I'll be very confused. And I think has the plains in hand, so probably just everything except the Sea-Soaked Cliffs. Oh no, everything's with the Lakeside Park. Oh, but Reuben has enough to Epic of Ekbrahm X equals 1, I forgot. Because of the 2 petals he just created. Oh, I completely missed that. I missed the treasure from Imperial Claim. So Eon Overwatch does resolve, does manage to bounce the Choking Dunes. On end, Zarepath can still wander the unknown, this Eon Overwatch, though. I guess the problem with doing that, actually... no, never mind. The problem with that is that puts Zarepath off of Epic of Ekbrahm. So instead you just untap, play... No! That's the misplay, dog. Oh, that's actually so bad. I guess... What is Zarepath doing here? You can't replay Choking Dunes. That's... Eon Overwatch prevents that. Zarepath. Oh, no. And because he played this mountain instead of this Sea-Soaked Cliff, Sea-Soaked Cliff would have done the same thing for his purposes. But because he's now played this mountain, he can now no longer both wander the unknown and still have Epic of Ekbrahm up. So instead he's just going to play out a writing, draw into another Epic of Ekbrahm, which is once again uncastable this turn. And this is crazy, because I feel like this is a match that, like, by all rights, Reuben should have lost, but I think Zarepath may have let it get away from him. Okay, Luminescent Lagoon, Wall of Mysteries. So if you're Reuben, you just save the Eon Overwatch for the next Choking Dunes. And this turn, you attack in with your first Eon Overwatch, and then main 2 try to play probably play Wall of Mysteries and then Mirage Oddity, I guess. Like, why not? Or do you just not? No, you want to force Zarepath to use the Epic of Ekbrom this turn, so that hopefully you can resolve your Eon Overwatch next turn. Unfortunately, Zarepath has 2, so that plan is not going to work out. So yeah, first going to try and run out the Wall of Mysteries. Drawing into a land, not quite what he needs right now. Definitely a little bit over-flooded here, especially given that starting hand. Yeah, Tannis does basically fuck all because of these petals. Like, unironically, I feel like if Zarepath plays a huge epic here, yeah, which he's going to do, at that point Zarepath is like drowning in card advantage, but not like board advantage. So at that point I would just start shooting Zarepath with the Lazarus Ultras triggers. Is that crazy? Like, if you're Reuben, your thought is, okay, I just have to hope that he doesn't have removal for this Eon Overwatch, or another epic. I just kind of have to play to my outs. Oh, but the problem is, I guess, like, it is on upkeep, so it does draw Zarepath even more cards, which could potentially answer Eon Overwatch. But yeah. I'm just wondering, like, where's the line where you start shooting Zarepath's face for 2 each turn? He has a Wander the Unknown, though, is the issue. How many lands does he have in Grave as well? He's got 3, so not enough to Choking Dunes number, to just slam Choking Dunes, and then shoot the Eon Overwatch. So I think the play here... Oh, this is awful, because once again, Zarepath can't hold up both Epic of Ekbrom and Wander the Unknown. So you probably just play a blue land, and then hold up Sink into Doubt plus Wander the Unknown. Oh yeah, I missed the Royal Domain. And Zarepath apparently has a Judge quest, and I wonder what this is going to be. I'm looking through his hand, and I'm trying to figure out, like, what could this rules question be? Is it about Coordinated Commotion plus Waste? I wonder, but how would that... Huh. Yeah, I'm not sure what about Zarepath's hand could prompt a need for a rules check. And I'm not sure what about Reuben's deck either. Oh, actually, wait, I do know. It's probably about cleanup step, discarding lands, and Choking Dunes, but cleanup step happens after beginning of end step. That would be a bit crazy, though, if you could just, like, draw a huge amount of cards and it's like, actually, I'm now going to use these to shoot your face. Man, remember when, what is that Rakoa card? Bombardment? What was it called? Right now, Choking Dunes is basically just like, I am you, but better. It's essentially a 5-mana enchantment which allows you to discard a land to bolt something. I'm surprised no one has actually built a deck around both of those cards yet. I guess they're both expensive enchantments, so that's probably why. So Zarepath just passing the turn. On cleanup, has to discard a whopping 4 cards. Did play the Royal Domain, though. So, like you said, does have access. So yeah, is going to be discarding all of the lands, or well, 3 of the lands, and then what's the last card? I think Coordinated Commotion? No. Actually, Eldritch has 2 writings, so yeah, going to discard the 3rd one. And now just has God knows how much interaction, plus a removal spell for the Eon Overwatch. So now if you're Reuben, do you just try to shoot Zarepath? Wait, so if Reuben had chosen to shoot Zarepath for 2 there, that would put Zarepath down to 11. And then if Reuben had then chosen to flip Fangmarked Cave and swing with both Eon Overwatch and Fangmarked Cave, if Zarepath didn't have a removal spell, Reuben would have won. Of course, Zarepath does have a removal spell. That could have definitely been a line that Reuben tried for if he was gutsy. Especially like trying to... But maybe he's just trying to draw into counter magic for a removal spell. So he's going to play into the Lion's Den. This is actually kind of a problem if you're Zarepath. I think in response, you Wander the Unknown, the Eon Overwatch, or do you just Coordinated Commotion this and bounce it writing? But if you no, okay, it's just going to Mimi Big Epic. And it's going to keep 3 mana up in case of an opposing epic, I guess. X equals 5, probably counter mode 3 times. Okay. To guarantee that the job gets done. I think he just really needs to have removal for like he as long as I think he wandered the unknown in response. I think I guess his thought was though he wants to have both epic and wander the unknown. And so his thought was if I Epic of Ekbrom this, I basically get to keep both, quote unquote. Basically get to keep both. As in like keep both Epic of Ekbrom and Wander the Unknown. Because he gets to keep it in that he gets to use it to counter something plus draws 2 cards. And he keeps the Wander the Unknown because he literally keeps the Wander the Unknown. Yeah, he drew 2 cards. So I'm going to try and swing in with the Eon Overwatch. If you're Zarepath, I think you just have to Wander the Unknown at this point. No, he's just going to take it? No, that's dangerous. Playing with fire over there. That's actually really dangerous because now next turn, if Reuben double shoots Zarepath with the Lazer's Altars, and then afterwards flips Fangmarked Cave, Zarepath either survives with 1 life or just dies because he has to Wander the Unknown the Fangmarked Cave and then takes the Eon Overwatch. Actually, no, never mind. What am I talking about? Reuben doesn't have counter magic, so next turn, Zarepath just drops his Choking Dunes and is like, lol. Does Zarepath even have enough mana for double Choking Dunes? Because Choking Dunes costs 4 mana. Yeah, actually, he'll have enough mana for double Choking Dunes, and then Reuben just dies. These are the petals. Oh, okay. Never mind. That makes this very easy. But why would he need that? Reuben only has 2 mana up. One of which is any color. But what about Eon Over? He doesn't need to because he just plays double Choking Dunes and then he shoots Reuben for exactly 12. And the double writing makes Choking Dunes cost 4. So yeah. As long as Zarepath sees that line, this game is over. Why is he adding black? Oh no, he's adding red. Never mind. So here comes Choking Dunes number 1. And the best part is, even if Reuben has a negate for one of these, Zarepath just resolves the other one and shoots Eon Overwatch. But fortunately for Zarepath, Reuben does not, and so Reuben's in for a world of hurt. He's going to crack the Sprawling Coils just for good measure, I guess. Is it really killing them if you don't overkill them? Then on end, what is Reuben doing? He's going to deep dive, and yeah, that's it. Zarepath shoots Reuben in the face for 14. So wow, those were some crazy sets of matches. In the end, I think the pinging from Lazer's Altar, from 2 of Lazer's Altars, was just too much. Like, I think 1 is good, 2 starts to push it. But yeah, good games to both players, and Zarepath becomes, I believe, the first person to go up 2-0 in our Swiss round 2. Oh yeah, no, I meant like 2-0 in general, as in like 2 sets. Or someone already played their round 2 match. I think this good games to both players, and I love both of these decks because I think they're decks that the types of decks we haven't seen in the meta recently, and they both made like great showings here, and they showed that control mirrors don't have to be dirtly and really boring. They can be explosive and edge of your seat. So thanks for that. Okay, but until next time, this is Caillou signing off.